everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could be with us once again. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button to stay connected with all of our programming we do here on Amazon 6 days a week. And as you guys know, we're getting ready to take you guys on the road with us. We're going to Los Angeles this week. We'll be doing live shows there on Amazon Live in Los Angeles. So we definitely don't want you guys to miss that. You'll notice the follow button is either here in this corner or down below. Also, in what we call our carousel, you will see two of the books by our next guests. We're excited to welcome Nitki's dad to our broadcast today. Had a great conversation with Nitki's dad on Conversations Live, the radio show. You guys can find it here on Amazon Music. He's the author of this book you see here, Dear Molly. We're going to highlight it for you guys in the carousel, but also this book that I really enjoyed, and that is The Warrior Within. We're going to talk to Nitki's dad not only about the writing of the books, but also what it's been like for him to reflect on his life, his journey, and the lessons he's been able to share with all of us. If you guys have any questions or comments for Nitki's dad, we welcome you guys. Hello to you, Stay Tuned 56 over on the IG side. I appreciate you all being with us. See you guys over there on YouTube as well. We are simulcasting, so I do want to welcome those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, as well as on Instagram. Looking forward to your comments. But Nitki's dad, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for the opportunity, Cyrus.
Well, look, I'm excited about this. Well, as I mentioned, we had a great conversation on the radio side, so I'm glad now to be able to bring it to our on-camera audience as well. I want to talk to you about the experience as you kind of reflect on this writing journey, but also this journey of yourself. What has it been like for you to share that with the rest of us?
It's been kind of therapeutic in writing and then sharing the stories. During the pandemic, I had driven for Uber, and you engaged the individuals, and we would just share stories about what they were going through or what I had gone through. Because typically somebody, they want to talk. They want to have a connection. And when we would share stories or talk along that journey, it would be something that would be eye-opening for them or for myself. I would learn from them, or they might learn something from me. So during the pandemic, I had just found inspiration and figured, okay, let me go ahead and write down my story. And I initially did it because I wasn't sure if would have the emotional strength to share it with someone else on an emotional level, a significant other. But then as I shared stories with other people, they said, you need to write a book. You should write a book. So I started doing that, but I didn't want it just to be about my life journey. It was really about how we can overcome the littlest things we may not be aware that are holding us back. So when I looked at my life and I took that into some of the problems that we're facing in this country, just in the high level aspect, if we get to the heart of it without the emotion, we can solve these things. Doesn't have to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight, but just one step at a time, one thing at a time. If you find you have the strength, rise up and get rid of the things that are not serving you. And that really led to the whole combination of publishing the book.
Yeah. We talked about this, and I want to welcome you guys. I see you guys coming in on the IG side. Devontae, hello to you. Good to be able to see you. Cheryl the Pearl, good to be able to see you over on IG as well, the literary ambassador. Glad you could be with us as well. What I love about the way you wrote the books is it's your story, Nitki's dad, but it really is, I think, a reflection, as you were just saying in your conversations that you've had with others, of other people too. Did you imagine when you were writing the book that it would have that connective tissue with other people?
I never imagined it would. I just wanted to share my experiences. And I do that more in Dear Molly with the people that I had driven for Uber and the unique situations that I found myself in. And I look at it, the universe was sending me a message. You always meet people for a reason, season, or a lifetime. And there are things that you can take away from all of that. And one of the eye-opening experiences and some of the things that I wrote about in Dear Molly with those connections really helped move me forward when I didn't realize I might have been stuck. Yeah. When you can help someone else, you end up helping yourself. So that's one of the strangest things that people, it's almost like an oxymoron, if you will, that in order to help yourself, take a little time, maybe help someone else, and then you'll find your path clearing up a little bit. So in sharing all that, it was like, no, let me put this out there to give people an example of what they may be able to do. It isn't that they have to walk my path, but find your path and walk it yourself. And this is how I do it.
Love that. And I think it's such an amazing thing, Nikki's dad, that you've been able to do in that way, and how vulnerable you have been as well. I have highlighted now for our Amazon audience, for you guys, The Warrior Within, which is this book. One of the things that you talk about is your love of the eagle. Talk to us a little bit
Yeah.
about that, and the significance of the eagle for you and why it means so much to you.
Well, the eagle, when a storm is coming, an eagle doesn't really seek shelter. It'll rise above the storm, and
Mhm.
that goes to the symbolism on the book. The mythology of the phoenix is considered an eagle that fights within and burns away what doesn't serve them and rises from the ashes to live a better life. So the eagle is always when you see an eagle, it's always majestic. It's the symbol of our nation. It's You see an eagle one alone. You really don't see them in flocks. That can be a leader. You can be a leader. Everybody's a leader. It's just a matter of how you approach life. And when it comes right down to it, you're the only one who's going to hold the pen as you write your story. Don't allow someone else to do it. And that takes a lot of strength. And that's what I gather from the eagle. When you see the eyes that are just searing in you, or the screech that it might do, or even looking at the habitat of the eagle, it is really a family bird. It really is. They mate for life. So everything around and surrounding the eagle is like, these are little elements that I found strength in. And it's like, okay, well, how can I make sure that I am doing what I can to live up to that, as you will?
It's interesting. One of the kind of philosophical conversations you're able to have with yourself, Nikki's dad, but also I think all of us have, is what it actually means to live. And I love the way you kind of break this down in The Warrior Within. If you guys are curious as to what book you should start with, I definitely would recommend The Warrior Within. I really enjoyed this one. And I think Nikki's dad, when he kind of takes us through his journey of family, we're going to get some into that. But also just thinking about life in general and purpose. I think this book is one I think will resonate with people. We have it here on Amazon, both the Kindle edition you guys can get, as you can see there, for $9.99, or you can be able to get this one is actually on sale for 20% off for $27.82 as well, so you can get it as well. But you talk about in The Warrior Within, Nikki's dad, about living and existing, and that's something we hear people talk about, the difference. But you talked about your stressing really living, but almost living intentionally. Talk to us about that and what it's been like for you to realize not only, of course, the purpose of life, but also the purpose of your own life.
Well, a lot of the times there's so many things that bombard us. And that, I think, to be honest, I think there's a certain design by a hierarchy or a patriarchy scale where individuals will try and keep you down, if you will, keep you not looking with your eyes up. They want a certain amount of people just doing what they do, almost like a slavery aspect. And we talked before on the radio show where I believe that we in the United States, we've gotten into a financial slavery kind of a thing where people get drowned out into living life. They're focused on the bills. They're focused on the day to day, but they don't dream anymore. They don't really have aspirations. It's really a weight that's on their shoulder. So when you look at the living versus existing, we really have to try and get rid of the things that are not serving us. Now, when you look at being happy or successful, that's a definition only you can determine. But I would argue that success isn't measured by your bank account. It's really about the life you live. You'll hear stories of a family of four that are living, barely above hourly wage and everything else, but they're such a small house, but it's such a happy family. It's a close knit family compared to another family of four living in one of these mansions of $1 million+ or 20,000 feet. And there's such a distance that goes beyond the what's in the room. So looking at when you're living versus existing, it's really about trying to make that connection, one, with yourself. You really have to know who you are
Yeah.
and know the people that are in your life, because there are some people, family or friends, they may not want you to succeed because they want you down at their level. It's kind of funny because there was a phrase I had heard: you got to be careful of who's in your boat. You got to make sure everybody is rowing and not drilling holes while you're not looking. And that goes to who's really in your corner, kind of a thing.
Right.
And so when you look at all the things that are in our life, from the political divisiveness to the extremes on religion and maybe other things, and how we're so divided by race, class, sexuality, everything else, there are so many forces out there that want to keep people from being free to just live their life. Everybody's on a spiritual journey as a human being. And there are forces out there that don't want you to live. They just want you to exist and go through life, go through the motions. So everything that I wrote down, it freed me up because I looked at all the little things that may have been preventing me, may not have been, but at least I addressed them. And one of the fear factors that a lot of people have is those skeletons that they have in their closet.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is acknowledge these things to yourself. You don't have to publish a book. You don't have to go out on the news or put something in the paper. But when you acknowledge your own mistakes and your fears and everything else, they no longer have control over you. And that means you're free to live and experience things in a whole new light. And that's where I tried to push everything that I wrote towards, from a personal level, from a professional level, to things in this country. Because let's face it, things are really divisive in the country, and we could really use some truth in this, some brutal truth.
Yeah, I love that. I want to say hello to you guys. Welcome. For those who are just tuning in, you're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're on Amazon Live, but we are simulcasting our conversation today with author Nitki's dad. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, as well as IG. Hello to you, Stacy. Good to see you. Stacy was saying so true to what you were just saying there. Nitki's dad and Sergeant 4 Academy. Good to be able to see you as well. If you guys have any questions or comments for Nitki's dad, make sure you guys put this in the comment section. If you're not joining us on the Amazon platform, there should be a link for you guys on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube to be able to come over to Amazon. For those who are joining us on X and Instagram, you'll be able to see it after the broadcast ends. So make sure you guys do be able to just click there. It'll bring you over to Amazon to be able to get Nitki's dad's books. So I do want to ask, because this is something that we talked about also on the radio show, and that is why you decided not to use your name. You chose to use the moniker Nitki's dad. Talk to us about that and why that was important for you.
Yeah, Nitki was my dog. He was a Siberian Husky. I think he had a little Malamute in him. And he was with me for 14 and a half years. And he was I'll say my best friend, my rock. He was everything that I aspired to be as far as the characteristics. And one of the great things about dogs is their heart. They know unconditional love. And and people that are owners, you walk outside in the front yard, you come back in 5 minutes later, they're happy to see you. You're gone for a day, they're happy to see you. Their tails wag and everything else. And I wanted people to focus on the messages that I was writing about and not the messenger. Mm-hmm. So much in our society, especially in the politics, people will attack the messenger so the message is not heard. Yeah. And that's a distraction technique. You'll hear it. It's moving the goalpost. It's deflecting. It's misrepresenting. So I wanted to honor him and say I'm proud mostly of the fact that I was worthy of this dog's love and affection and admiration. And this was my homage to him, to say thank you for the life you gave me and shared with me, and keeping me from going way off a beaten path. Because it had not been for him, it could have I could have found myself in a place that, gotten in trouble and done some physical harm to somebody, because I was so enraged about my situation with the ex-wife and such. But he kept me balanced. He was an anchor. And this is why I used my, the pen name Nitki's dad.
Yeah. Hello to you, Ellen. Good to be able to see you over on the Facebook side. Speaking of that, I'll talk broadly about this, Nitki's dad, and you can go, as deep as you want to into it. But you were saying earlier about the importance of, hey, Conquer with Chris, good to be able to see you over there on IG. You were saying earlier about the importance of truth. And one thing I can really appreciate about The Warrior Within, yes, you talk about the things that happen to you, but also you're able to talk about your own challenges and difficulties as well. that really comes through when you're talking about family. You kind of talk about the interesting dynamics between your mother, father, and you, but also other figures in your life. But then, as you just referenced there, Nikki's dad, you talk about it, as the book goes on about your marriage as well. Was that an easy decision for you to make, to include that? And I guess my tag on to that would be, was that also part of the healing in doing so?
Yeah, I think I had to. That was part of the brutal honesty, the aspect that I had to look at. Um, when you're going through whatever it is you're going through, the storm, you're going through life, you have to be honest. I mean, we can kid ourselves, we can delude ourselves about these things, and let's face it, we're not going to be perfect. We're going to make our mistakes,
Right.
but if you're not where you want to be in life, or if there's something that you're doing that may not seem right to someone else, look at it and figure out why it is you're doing that. So when I looked at the things that I went through and the relationship that I had with my mom and dad, and how that relationship, or the things that I experienced and observed with them, shaped me going forward, I had to be honest. I couldn't sugarcoat it. They're gone now, but it wasn't something that, just because they're gone doesn't mean I don't love them. I do love them. But you got to be honest. If you're not honest, then you're not going to solve the problem. And that goes personal, professional, in our country, whatever it may be. If you cannot be honest about it, you're not going to solve the problem. Because if you're not starting from that point of brutal honesty, then the results or the solution that you find isn't going to be the one that fixes the problem. So you've got to really take off the mask. You've got to bear it down to the brutal essence of what it is, and look at it honestly and objectively, and see where things can change, or where you may have learned these traits or these habits, or the bad or good, and figure out whether they're impacting your life going forward. And again, it doesn't mean that your loved ones, your family, your friends, you don't love them. It just means that this is something that you picked up, and that maybe you need to change a little bit. Maybe not. But unless you're going to be honest about it, it's always going to be there.
I love that you, when you were talking, I thought about something from Dear Molly, so I'm going to actually share a passage from there. I think what's so great about what you just said is, you're right. I mean, we have to be real, and we have to be authentic, and that's going to help not only us, but also I think it allows other people to know the importance of doing the same thing. You write something, and like I said, I thought about it as you were talking in chapter 11 of Dear Molly. So I
Mhm.
highlighted it for you guys over on the Amazon side. Again, you can get either the Kindle edition, or you can get the hardcover edition here. But chapter 11, Nikki's dad, is liking ourselves validates energy. You say this for those who have the physical copies on page 74 and 75. I thought this was really interesting in hearing you just talk. You said, I did find a certain amount of pride in my energy and beliefs with people who had different experiences than my own. Most importantly, the positive energy I sent back out to the world by keeping my word of driving the woman back from Banner Elk. And then you go on to say this: I know whoever I am with, I want both of us to be proud of the other, humbled to be blessed by such a love. I will inconvenience myself if necessary, not to prove anything, pass a test, or for a way to earn brownie points, or something to be kept in an account earning interest for use at a later date, but simply because they will be a priority to me. I love that because it shows the importance of thinking outside of just yourself and
Yeah.
doing something not to get something in return, as we know is the case for a lot of people, but just doing it because it's the right thing to do. What has that been like for you to show by example that it's okay, that, it's just, my grandmother used to say something, and she said she heard it from my great grandmother, and that is, it's just nice to be nice. What has
Yes.
that been like for you to show that it's just nice just to be nice?
It's been a freeing moment. A lot of times people look at maybe an interaction with someone else as a transaction,
Hmm.
and where you give something and you expect something in return. And that can lead to disappointment if you have the wrong expectation or whatever it may be. But when you don't set an expectation on what it is you're doing for someone, or what you're saying, um, it frees you up because it's genuine. It's typically from the heart. And a lot of times that's where we get lost in our relationships, especially, with such a high divorce rate and
Mm,
such a craziness in this world. People forget what it is about that person that they fell in love with, or why they're actually friends with them, or what it may be. So again, when you just do for the sake of good, you don't have to go out and do it and be a goody two shoes or whatever else. But when something speaks to you to do something or to say something without having an expectation of it being returned,
mm,
you just put that energy out in the world and you go about your free business. Take a young lady that would be, you give a compliment to a young lady. Well, she may initially think that you want her phone number, but no, it's just, no, you have a great smile. I love the way your hair looks. Your nails look great, or whatever it is, or you got a great energy around you, a great aura. And then you walk away. That smile typically will leave with someone, and it brightens their day. And you never know who might need to hear that. And I've done that along my path, whether it's been an individual, a couple. One of the best things I've seen is a young couple I had seen, and I think I wrote about this in the book. There was such an energy about them, a good chemistry. They were a good looking couple, and they were just happy, and you could just see it. And it emanated from them. So I just made that comment to them. They appreciated the comment, and it struck up a couple-minute conversation, but they went on their way. I went on my way. I wasn't expecting them to give me a compliment. That wasn't the purpose of it. It
right.
was really just acknowledging what you've seen or felt from that situation without setting up an expectation. Because when you do that, you may find disappointment, and we don't. That's what leads to the downtrodden and society kind of keeping you from living life and just existing. So when you free yourself up, it really does help you move forward, a lighter in your shoes, a lighter step, no weight on your shoulders. Your head is held high, and you got your head looking forward instead of down at the sidewalk. So
Yeah. Such a great point. Hello to you, Melissa. Good to be able to see you over on the Facebook side. Hello to you, Paper Montana. Good to be able to see you over there on IG. Stephanie McConnell. Good to be able to see you as well over on IG. We've been talking today with Nikki's dad. Been talking with Nikki's dad not only about his own life and reflection, but also his books. You guys see here, both of them here on Amazon. The Warrior Within, and this is the one I would recommend you all starting with. But there's also Dear Molly. There's some great life lessons and experiences, I think, in both of them. And you write a lot about what I've been trying to live, Nikki's dad, and that is thinking about legacy, thinking about impact. And I think a lot of times we are so busy just trying to make it through the day that we don't realize exactly what you were just saying. We never know what a kind word can do for somebody, what that may do for them moving forward, a kind gesture, and that again, we want nothing from, but how that may impact the lives of others. So I want to ask you as we wrap up here, what do you hope these two books and your message, what do you hope it does for readers?
I hope they find a way to heal from things they may not be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I look at these two books as like The Warrior Within is a healing, my healing, and maybe it can help you. And then inspiration was Dear Molly, because it all started with a Dear Molly Sandian and the video I had seen of her singing a video on YouTube. And then over the course of the several months, and then seeing her at the Oscars, and then a story that I didn't speak Swedish. I don't speak Swedish, but the strength that I saw, that inspiration can get you to heal yourself or maybe help heal others. So it's really a healing and inspirational journey that I really didn't realize at the time, but that's how I looked at each one. And you never know when, where, how, or who inspiration may come from. So when you can keep your mind open and your eyes up without expectation, inspiration may find you and it may move you in a way that you never considered before. And that's what this happened. Writing both of these books, that's what the inspiration did for me. And then as I shared each stories that I had in The Warrior Within and then Dear Molly with other people, they found something that they could take and move on from that point. So in each of these, I hope an individual will read and find out their own path, figure out, make sure they know who they are,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging their own story. And in doing so, maybe they can inspire someone else just by being who they are, not by being some influencer or somebody who needs to make it on, Broadway or in Hollywood, but
Right.
just those simple individuals. Because when all is said and done, this amazing thing that we call life, it's not permanent. We're all going to pass on someday, and we're not going to take money with us. We're not going to take our fancy wardrobe. Our legacy will be the lives we've touched and the impressions and the characteristics and the morals and the values that we've left with others as an example of the better angels of our nature. And that's what it's really all about. You can have your opinion on politics and religion, but ultimately, on that day when you're standing or kneeling before God, you're going to have to answer for these things. And the people that remain will remember you, and that's the memory. So find a way to heal from things that you may not realize you need to, and inspire others to do the same just by living that authentic life of yours.
Love that. Again, everyone, Nikki's dad has been our guest, The Warrior Within, and Dear Molly, available right here on Amazon. Again, if you guys are joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you all will see the link that will bring you guys over to Amazon to get the books for yourself. Those joining us on X and Instagram, we'll make sure that we'll post the link after we wrap up our conversation with Nikki's dad here. Nikki's dad, thanks again for the time. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to our next chat together.
Appreciate it, Cyrus. Thank you. You have a great day.
You as well. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.